One of the things that I have missed about making coffee in a British hotel, in this case a Scottish hotel, is the fact that the water is so hot you can't hold the cup. So this is the second day of our tour from Edinburgh to the Isle of Skye. And it's very early in the morning. We haven't got started yet. But because it's the second day and we haven't started the second day yet, I'm actually filming sort of an intro to the first day. I had big plans, obviously, as I always do, of being able to use my Pocket 2 throughout the day, take interesting B-roll and things like that. So far what I've found is, and this is billed as a photography tour, and I am thoroughly enjoying the tour. But it's billed as a photography tour for people to get off the van for 15 or 20 minutes, go take some snapshots, mostly with their phones, get back on the van, take off to the next place. And I am thoroughly enjoying getting out and doing that, and I'm taking a few pictures with my camera. One spot, I actually got to set up my tripod for 5 minutes. But mostly what I'm doing is handheld shots and taking a lot of iPhone shots to be able to post to social media as we're going along. And that is perfectly fine with me. I am thoroughly enjoying the trip. Not the photography I envisioned. I'm fine with that. So we took off yesterday, and I have to say that at the beginning I was a little confused because it said that we would be picked up at the St. Andrew's Square bus terminal, and when I looked up, unfortunately for me, St. Andrew's Square, I didn't look up St. Andrew's Square bus terminal. I wandered around St. Andrew's Square for a little while and finally had to call to figure out where I was supposed to go, and I was about a half a block away from where I needed to be inside the bus terminal. So, we went by the Kelpies, and very interesting roadside sculptures. I was hoping that I would have some clouds. I had no clouds whatsoever. But as we got closer to the Highlands, as we were approaching Glencoe, the valley before the Highlands, the weather changed dramatically. We started getting smatterings of rain, and then we would get heavy downpours of rain, and then we would get bright sunshine, and then we would get overcast cloudy. The weather was changing every 5 to 10 minutes, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Just to go through, it was phenomenal. So we stopped along, a few places along the road, and I took a few handheld shots I'll put up here while I'm talking. We went along what's called the Skyfall Road. If you have ever seen the movie Skyfall, there is a scene there where Bond is racing through the backcountry of Scotland. That's where he's going. That's the road that they filmed that on. And mountains on both sides of us, or hills maybe more in terms of American thinking. Beautiful, beautiful hills with the light just sort of streaking across. It was the most phenomenal light I've ever seen outdoors for photography. And there are a few pictures in this lot where all I did was take pictures of mountaintops where the clouds were touching and the light was streaming, and just there's no foreground interest. It's not a picture worth hanging on a wall, but I was just enthralled with everything that was going on. And so we made it to Fort William about 5 o'clock, and sunset was about 6:30. And I toyed with the idea of, do I try to go out and take some pictures? Do I not go out and take some pictures? And the problem was, by that time it had become so overcast, it was just dark. There was no light left to take any pictures. And so then I thought, well, I'll get up this morning, second morning, and I'll go down by the waterside. It's about a 15-20 minute walk from my hotel. I'll take some pictures at sunrise. But because it's so far down and because it's raining, and the trip back up, I wasn't going to be able to get back up here in time to have breakfast before we take off at 9 o'clock. And if you know me at all, you know that I'm not going to miss breakfast. I don't care how beautiful the light is, I'm having breakfast. So today our plan is to we're gonna drive past the Harry Potter Railway Viaduct. I think it's called the Glenfiddich Viaduct. If you've ever had Glenfiddich whiskey, it's made in that area. Wonderful stuff. I highly recommend it. And then we're going to take a ferry over to the Isle of Skye and then drive over to Kyleakin. Now in Kyleakin, because we're going to spend 2 nights there, I will have some time to take some pictures at sunset and at sunrise. But through the rest of the tour, we're also going to go through the ferry pools, which I would hope that we would be there long enough for me to set up my tripod and get some long exposure pictures. And by long exposure, I mean, you know, half a second to 3 seconds. But if not, I will make sure that I have the Platypod available and ready so that I can just set my camera down somewhere and take some pictures. I was the last person on the bus yesterday because, as I said, I was lost, and so I was relegated to the front seat by the door next to the driver, which I could not have asked for a better seat. Not only going around those hilly, curvy roads, I'm not getting car sick. I have a beautiful view out the front window and the side window. I sort of have a bird's eye view of what the driver's doing, going between his music and his narratives. And I'm sitting by myself with nobody around me, and it's for me, that's heaven. I will throw this out here before I get done with this sort of short narration about what happened yesterday. And that is that our tour guide, his name is Ewan McLeod. I've not yet had the opportunity to ask him if he is related to Connor McLeod from Highlander. But he is through and through Scottish, by all means. And I asked him yesterday, how long have you been driving for Rabbie's tours? He's been doing this for 20 years. And I have to say, he is absolutely amazing. So far, Rabbie Tours has not disappointed at all. I'm not getting paid to say this. There is no quid pro quo here. I paid the full retail price to go on the tour, but his stories are awesome. Now, I looked up a couple of the stories online when I got back to the hotel. They're not quite accurate, but they're wonderful to listen to. So I listened to his stories. He's very good about pointing out what we're coming up to and what we're going to see, and talking about the weather. We pulled off at one side of the road at one point, and he said, we're just going to sit here for about 2 minutes because I can tell by the cloud cover over here that the rain's going to pass by. Just give it 2 minutes. And in 2 minutes, boom, no rain. We stepped outside, we took some pictures. I took a couple of pictures with my iPhone, shared it with some friends. Those pictures alone were amazing. And then we got in the van and it started raining again. But he is number one concerned with our comfort. He's constantly asking us if everybody is okay with the temperature. He makes sure that we stop often enough at places where there are restrooms or a place to get a cup of coffee if that's what we want. And so, you know, we're not like driving 4 or 5 hours. We're driving 30 minutes, 45 minutes to the next place. And so if you do come to Scotland and you want to see sort of at a fast-paced view some of the most beautiful countryside in the world, take a Rabbie's tour from Edinburgh to the Isle of Skye. And I'm going to finish up this coffee, and we'll see how the rest of this video turns out. We're getting ready to start day 2.